That's good. So, we're not getting any younger, although we all like to stay young forever. I call it the Peter Pan effect. I've been studying young people my entire career. I'm getting 45 in September, the 27th, if you want to send me some presents. And my entire career is dedicated to young people. Just like Peter Pan, it's a way to stay young, I think. Now, the first book I've written on young people is actually How Cool Brands Stay Hot, and it dealt with the millennial generation, Generation Y. And in the past 5 years, I've been bringing the content of this book to nice places. Never as nice as Tel Aviv, by the way. I had a great time. Shelly, thanks a lot for inviting me. It feels like a holiday, so it's a bit hard to give a presentation now, but I will do it anyway, just for you. And after doing this for 5 years, I typically got 2 questions. One question, typically from older people in the room, was, I'm like Generation Y, I'm like a millennial. Although the guy in the room was like 65, he still felt like, hey, you're talking about me. So also Peter Pan effect. But can you prove that young people are different than older people? Because I feel exactly like the way you've been talking about. And the second question was, yes, but this is millennials, today the young adults. What about the next generation, Generation Z or Generation Z in some regions in the world? Are they different from millennials? So that's why for the last edition of How Cool Brands Stay Hot, this one came out in April. We've added a chapter on Generation Z based on a new piece of research. And we did a cross-generational study across the globe. So we actually compared 4 generations. The oldest ones in the survey were the baby boomers, then Gen X, my generation, millennials, my normal key domain, and then Gen Z, the youngest ones, so 4 to 18-year-olds, kids and teens, you could say. And so when I talk about next gen, it's actually a combination of the millennials together with Gen Z, the youngest. So that's quite a broad group. It's the younger people, you could say, 4 to 35-year-olds. But I will try to focus this presentation for the purpose of today on Gen Z, the youngest generation. So what I will talk about in the next coming minutes, 1 hour actually, is 4 DNA characteristics. I'm making it myself, ready to level up. We're dreaming of a better world, and we are snappy. So this is the management summary, you could say, of my presentation. And as you can see, it's a combination of I and we. And typically, when you deal with youth marketing, kids marketing, teens marketing specifically, it's always a combination of me and we. Why? Because when you grow up, it used to be the age between 11 and 17, you're looking for your own identity. What am I doing here in Tel Aviv? What's my place on the world? What is my main focus? What's my style? And how am I different from other young people? So we're looking for an identity typically between the age of 11 and 17. Today, actually, and that's thanks to the millennials, young people are still looking for their identity when they're 35. Because millennials, they don't want to become an adult, actually. If you ask a millennial what's the age of being an adult, they will say, well, it's beyond 30. So they want to search for an identity forever, I think. It's also a Peter Pan effect. So the me aspect is my own identity. How do I differ from my friends? And the we aspect is, of course, how can I affiliate with other people like me? What's my group? I want to belong to a group because we're animals, after all. We want to belong to a cohort. And many things, also for brands, are a balance between, are they stressing the me aspect? So the brand is like me, self-identification. It's like an extension of my own identity. But also, you can stress we aspects, like group thinking like doing something back to society, having social goals, doing something for the environment, fair trade. That are we aspects. And typically, for teens, it's both me and we. It's a combination. And we've been talking about, that's the only thing I understood from the introduction, about Coca-Cola. One of the questions we've asked in the survey across the world was to different generations, the 4 generations, what brand characteristic is the most important to you? Is it being a socially engaged brand, doing something back for society? For instance, Coke and the WWF, one of the campaigns they're doing. Or is it allowing customers to personalize the product so that it becomes an extension of yourself, because my name is on it, or I customize the packaging? And so this is one of the questions we've asked, and I'm also asking it to you as an audience. What would be the most important brand characteristic for Gen Z, so 4 to 18-year-olds, kids and teens, teenagers? Who says being socially engaged? So the left options. Raise your arms. I will look like an Indian, but it's the only way that I can see your arms, right? I would say it's a minority. Just checking if the rest is still awake or involved with emails on their mobile. Who thinks it's allowing personalization? Okay, that's the majority. And they're right, actually. For the youngest, it's about personalization. This is the graph. I won't bore you with too many graphs. I'm a research guy. But as you can see, the orange bar is Gen Z, so the youngest ones. The greenish bar is millennials, so 90 to 35-year-olds. Dark blue bar is Gen X, my generation, and the baby boomers is the pink bar. So you can see when it comes to personalization, whoops, it's more important to Gen Z. Being up to date is more important. Being luxurious and glamorous is more important. And an international brand is more important for the youngest ones than it is for millennials. Socially engaged, less important for Generation Z. That's a bit weird, because we think young people want brands to be socially engaged, and that's true for millennials. But what we see is that the youngest generation become a bit more individualized again. So that's why I am making it myself, is the first DNA characteristic I would like to talk about. When we talk about Gen X, so 36 plus, it was all about I've made it. If you looked at commercials from the old days, you would see that they would stress the ego, personal image. Back in the 80s, the 90s, start of the 90s, all brands were stressing egos. Because if you want to be a cool guy, when I was young, you had to buy the right brands. And you were buying your coolness by using the right brands. So that's Gen X thinking. So the brand was actually the hero. And we bought the brand because it was a hero brand. Then came the millennials, today 90 to 35-year-olds. But even when they were teens, it was all about not I've made it, but we together, collectively, can achieve something. Because we're 24/7 connected with our friends, with all the media, social media, we have our mobiles. And so we can obtain everything in life because we're a big group. We feel empowered to do that. So we had flash mobs as an example. We have co-creation campaigns. This is an example from the Netherlands, where a soft drink brand actually asked 20 girls to develop a new flavor and 20 boys to develop a new flavor, and then they did like a flavor battle, the two flavors. And they then went to kind of soft drink parties, so parties where teens went to, where you couldn't buy alcohol, of course, but only soft drinks. And the teens could vote, which flavor do you like the best? And the one with the most votes was actually produced, massively produced to the entire market. So it's a co-creation campaign, as we have seen many, and it works with millennials, because millennials are, we together want to create something. But then come Gen Z, the youngest ones, 4 to 18-year-olds, and they are actually the children of Generation X, more individualized people, more status, more prestige, more image. And so they again feel, I want to make it, but literally, I want my stamp on it, my name should be on it. So one example of PepsiCo with the Lay's brand last summer was actually create your own bag of chips. You could upload a picture. This is, I have 2 Gen Z daughters, by the way. So apart from the research, that's my daily experience. Create your own bag, put a picture of yourself on the bag, a caption on it, and then the first 10,000 in the competition got a box of their own chips with their own picture on the bag. Hyper-personalization. And this is actually, instead of the brand as a hero, it's the user as a hero, because you replace the brand with a picture of yourself. So you're actually hyper-personalizing the product, and you buy something because you're on it, and not the other way around. So that's different. Even McDonald's know that today, if they want to connect with the youngest, they should allow them to create their own burgers. So you can create your own burger out of 30 different possible combinations at home. You get a QR code, you go to McDonald's, and they make the burger like you made it at home, in your head or online. So it's hyper-personalized hamburgers, even at McDonald's. Oreos, Shelly already showed an example of Oreos. Oreos today is earning $2.7 billion on the direct-to-consumer markets. So Mondelez actually allows people to customize their package, put their name on the package, and get it at home for $10 plus $5 delivery costs, whereas a normal Oreo cookie bag should cost $2. But people want to pay an extra $8 for a personalized cookie. And it brings in $2.7 billion, direct-to-consumer e-commerce for Mondelez. Why? Because that's what we want. We want hyper-personalized stuff. You can call it the me-economy instead of the we. You know, the we-economy, share economy, Airbnb, WeWork. That's millennials. For the youngest, it's the me-economy, my own stamp, my own name on it. And it's changing stuff. This is an example from the financial industry in New Zealand, where one brand, ASB Bank, at the end of last year actually, they were sponsoring a marathon. And they said, okay, if you're running a marathon, you can obtain an interesting mortgage interest rate. So the faster you run, the better your mortgage rate. So if you had the marathon within 2 hours and 42 minutes, you actually receive 2.42 as the mortgage rate. That's interesting, because you yourself are influencing the product, the service that the brand is delivering to you. That's, I'm feeling empowered to achieve something, I'm challenged, and I will achieve my own mortgage rate. That's the hyper-personalized economy. This game, you're talking about gamers. Who knows this game? How is it called? Minecraft? Who has played Minecraft before? You did? Yes. Do you like it? What do you like about Minecraft? Yeah, exactly. You create your own world. When Minecraft was launched, apart from the Sims, where you could personalize some types, it was the first game that didn't have goals, right? There's not really a goal in Minecraft. There's no levels in Minecraft. Typically in gaming, you have a level, you have to beat some enemies, then you go to the next level. In Minecraft, there are no levels, no goals, no enemies, apart from some zombies. So at night, you need to make sure that you have built an own house where you can sleep, so that the zombies cannot eat you. But it's only to make you construct a home, to make you construct a universe, actually. So whenever you start up Minecraft, you start with a random universe. Every time it's different. And it looks like an average Swedish landscape, because there's a Swedish guy that actually invented Minecraft. So you have a lot of pine trees. And then you can start creating homes, other trees, animals, etc., etc. And it's all about you are creating it yourself. Now, Minecraft has sold more than 100 million copies of the games. 100 million active users of Minecraft. And it was sold 2 years ago to Microsoft for $2.5 billion. Microsoft bought it. The game was created by a 24-year-old Swedish guy, Marcus Persson. And he created it in 1 week. So it's the best spent week, I think, of a millennial ever, $2.5 billion by creating Minecraft. And it's successful with young people because they create the game themselves. Another example is the multinational Kraft. Kraft had a press release last year stating we will have 16% less revenues than the past year because of Kraft, which is ironic if your brand is called Kraft, but Kraft with a C, because people don't want to buy the global Philadelphia cheese made somewhere in the US, I think in Philadelphia, all around the world. They want to have a Kraft cheese that's made in their own village, where they can actually cuddle the sheep and taste the cheese. So this is really difficult for many multinationals, the Kraft movement, because if everyone wants to try something local where they can actually see it when it's made, it's difficult to create a global brand. So it's challenging a lot of business models. And I will skip the next example because it's an alcohol brand. And come to the first conclusions. Creating it myself, I've been talking about a me economy, co-creation more millennial-minded, and hyper-personalization more Gen Z, and the Kraft movement challenging many businesses. The next question we've asked 2 different generations was, would you like to have a career abroad, earn a lot of bucks, and start an own business? And again, I'm asking it to you as well. Who do you think was most eager to do that? Was it the millennials, 19 to 35-year-olds, or rather Gen Z, 4 to 18-year-olds? Z? Z? Who says Z? Okay. That's 37.9% of the room. And it's the right answer. It's Gen Z. Before I did this study, I thought millennials were very empowered to start their own business. But then, when you see the results, you see that, again, the orange bar, start own business, working abroad, being on the road all the time, having a career, and making a lot of money is more Generation Z. They feel more empowered. So the second DNA aspect is, I'm ready to level up. I want to achieve something in life. And who knows this TV program, Shark Tank? What's the idea of Shark Tank? Yeah. So come with a business idea. Young people come with a business idea, and then you have a panel of investors, actually, business guys that say, okay, this is a business idea that could work. I want to give them $10,000. Now, Shark Tank is like the X Factor or pop idols of business ideas, you could say. And it's been a very successful TV series internationally, globally, 6 seasons in a row, because young people are into this idea of leveling up and wanting to start something. One example is Michaela Ulmer, a 10-year-old girl that participated in Shark Tank with an idea of creating a lemonade based on a recipe of her granny or grandmother, and also, while using honey in the recipe, doing something back for society, actually for the bees. And so the Me and the Bees lemonade was an idea in Shark Tank. She received $60,000 to start this idea. And a few months ago, she made $1 million deal with Whole Foods. So today, the lemonades sold at Whole Foods are based on the idea of a 10-year-old girl. 10-year-old entrepreneur girl came up with this idea. And that's amazing, and she's not the exception. There's many young people that are full of business ideas, that feel empowered to achieve something in life. And we should find ways, as brands, as companies here together, to actually allow them to start up their own business, because that's entrepreneurship, and it's good for the economy as well. We often think of young people as YOLO. You know YOLO? you only live once. It doesn't equal you only live twice. Yes, that's arithmetics. But it doesn't equal you only live today. It's not because you feel that I want to have an interesting life, you only live once, that you're not thinking about tomorrow, right? Many young people, they want to have fun today, but they're also thinking about what's next. We often think young people only think of today, hedonists. They're not just hedonists, they're also thinking about the future. So they're also thinking about tomorrow. And it means that being bold to them, being daring, is not just about having balls, it's also about having goals in life. And if you're a brand, you can do a lot with that. Some example, it's also related to balls and goals, is Nike. Nike, since 2009, has the Nike Academy. And what they're doing is that actually they're allowing young soccer players to compete with other young soccer players in their neighborhood. And the best 10 worldwide in more than 30 countries can actually participate in a soccer academy in the UK, where they're trained by professionals. They can train together with all the stars, the soccer stars that are sponsored by Nike. So this is, again, user as a hero. It's not just people buying the Nike brand because it's a cool brand. No, Nike is endorsing young people to achieve something in life. And so since 2009, they have more than 50 alumni that have done the academy when they were young and are today playing in the first league across Europe. So they're actually, thanks to Nike, they built a career. And this is the way that Nike can actually build on the idea of helping people to achieve their goals in life. So again, it's user as a hero. Some smaller examples, H&M, an example from Poland. H&M in Poland is organizing CrossFit trainings and boxing trainings for young people. And if you follow the CrossFit training, you receive points for every calorie that you're burning. So the more calories you're burning, the more points you receive from H&M, and you can redeem the points in an H&M store to receive clothes, to buy a t-shirt or a dress or whatever. So they're actually stimulating young people to exercise and to have a more healthy lifestyle. And this is the way that brands and societal goals can work together, I think. This is another example here, I think from Tel Aviv, from the brand that was already mentioned by Shelly. And I will show you.
I feel like I could be looking at the future stars of YouTube.
יש לי ערוץ יוטיוב, יש לי עוקבים, אבל באקדמיה אני באתי כדי ללמוד.
הבת שלי אמרה לי, הכל רק לא ערוץ יוטיוב, אמא. אין מצב שאת פותחת עושה לי פדיחות, אז אני מורדת.
הבלוג שלי והדף, שניהם עוסקים באופנה וטיפוח לנשים כהות עור בישראל.
למה אני פה? כדי לזכות בתחרות, לנצל את הפלטפורמה הזאת, כדי ללמוד איך לעשות את עצמי באמת אימפריה. יאללה, מי מתנדבת לנסות? שיהיה לנו בהצלחה.
היא מתרגשת.
128 מדפיד.
אימא ל6 ילדים, גרה בכפר חב"ד.
אני בתיכון, יש לי כבר ערוץ ביוטיוב.
I'm obsessed, כמו שאומרות כל היוטיובריות. אני ראשונה מהמגזר שלי שנכנסה לזה. תוקעת זה ככה. יש! עוד כמה שניות?
First of all, Becky, how did you start uploading videos to YouTube?
I had 2 subscribers. One was my mom, one was my sister. And I remember the first time I had a third subscriber, someone I didn't even know, and I thought, life is made with a third subscriber.
For me, I'm not young, I'm 40 years old, and I wonder if there is an audience for my kind of women.
The biggest spending power of women is 40 plus, so stay online because you're the niche. You do your first videos and you hate the way that you coming across on camera. You have to get over that and post the first video. YouTube is meant to be so raw and organic. It's not meant to be perfect, and that's why people are watching you. Okay.
אוקיי, אז בואו נתחיל.
So Superfarm did this a couple of months ago, and there were 250 girls who wanted to register for the campaign. 20 actually followed the Buter Academy, beauty tutors. And when I did, it's early days, of course, but when I did some surveys around this, it showed that 40% of 16 to 24-year-old women in Israel actually heard about the campaign, and 2/3 attributed it to Superfarm. So it's a way to connect with young people, and it's also a way to allow young people to shine and to level up to actually do something that's part of their dreams and ambitions. Now, one of the things she says in the movie is actually the thing about vloggers on YouTube is that it's more real, like Shelly said. It's more authentic when real people are actually communicating about brands. And it also means that there are imperfections. And imperfections are the new perfection, you could say, to young people. Kraft Foods actually spent 2 years in an R&D lab to create meat that looks like this. Up till then, their meat was evenly sliced. So that it took 2 years to find out how to change the manufacturing so that they could slice it like you sliced it yourself at home. And why? Why 2 years of R&D? Because they know the customer today wants to buy stuff that looks like they've created something themselves. And it's very imperfect, but it's perfect. Coming back to Minecraft, when I first saw my youngest daughter, Yina, playing with Minecraft, I thought there was something wrong with my internet connection. Because it looks like this, right? It's moving like this. I thought, okay, I have a slow internet connection. And as she said, no, Dad, that the game is just like that, right? And it makes it cool to her because it's different than all the augmented reality, virtual reality, Pokemon Go type of games. This is, to them, more real. And it looks like this because the Swedish guy only spent 1 week developing the game because he thought, I will create a game fast, earn a bit of pocket money, and then start thinking about really programming a real game. He had never expected there would be 100 million people that would buy this game, actually, and that he could sell it for $2.5 billion to Microsoft. But it's cool to the young people because it's imperfect. And actually, one brand in the kids and teens market, Lego, was very jealous on this idea because if you look at this, it looks a lot like Lego. It wasn't invented by Lego. So today, Lego is actually selling boxes of toys with a Minecraft license. They had to buy the Minecraft license to create Lego games that look very boxy like Minecraft, whereas it was their own DNA, actually. So they're very jealous, and you see many other brands that are using the same Minecraft idea. Disney, for instance. Disney has Disney Crossy Roads. If you play Crossy Roads, it looks blocky and imperfect, and you use all the Disney characters, but they look entirely different than they're supposed to be. Now, this is crazy, because if you wanted to buy a license of Disney, like a few months or a year ago, it would probably state Mickey Mouse has to look like this, 0.5 millimeter ears. You could not change anything on Mickey Mouse until Minecraft, and today Disney says, okay, Mickey Mouse can look like that. Why? Because they know that young people will only be interested if it's different and if it's imperfect. perfectly imperfect people, for instance. Jay Lawrence. We all know Jay Lawrence. She's very imperfect. She's always drunk, for instance. And you get a lot of pictures like this. Imperfect people like Lena Dunham from the Girls HBO series. Very open, authentic, transparent about her imperfect love life. Girls, the series, is all about a very imperfect love and sex life. But it's very recognizable. And when you look at this, it means that perhaps we as brands are too perfect.
Middle seat's open. They look so non-judgmental. I don't trust that.
No shame in running half a half marathon. 2 miles? Oh, good. A bunch of models right in front of me.
Okay, yoga. Changed my life.
And focus on something else. Why are there so many mirrors?
Don't mind me over here with my little baby weights, baby arms. What am I even doing?
This is actually weirdly motivating. I love running. It's really fun. Exercise reduces stress.
Steady.
I got this. Oh, I can't. Almost there. I can't. Breathe. I can't. I did it. Let's go again.
This is the new tone of voice of Nike. Nike used to be the brand that had this slogan, just do it. You can be the next athlete, top performance. And today they actually changed it from I can't. And in the end I achieved something, but I did it in my way, in an imperfect way. So if Nike, as one of the biggest global brands, changed the tone of voice, perhaps we should rethink our own tone of voice and not always show perfections in our campaigns, in our strategies, because young people feel I can achieve something, but it's not in the perfect way. So they have this philosophy. Today, you will find in more than 50 cities around the world, like Tel Aviv, fuck-up nights, excuse me for my French, and fail conferences, where young entrepreneurs actually take the stage and they try to explain, listen, I started my first company when I was 14 years old, and then I made some mistakes, I went broke. And I started my second company, and again I made some mistakes, and again I went broke. And today I'm starting my third company. And these are the lessons that I've made from all the mistakes that I have made, right? It's something that young people do. A Gen Xer would never do that. I will talk about all the successes of my company, status, prestige, ego, but never about all the mistakes that I've made in my career or the times that I fucked up. Young people do that. Why? Because to them, failure is an option. It's better to be absolutely ridiculous to them than to be absolutely boring. It's better to try something, make some mistakes, learn from it, and go on and try it again, right? So I'm ready to level up. We've been talking about entrepreneurship, philosophy, perfectly imperfect. And I'm going to the next DNA aspect, and that's all about dreaming of a better world. One of the questions we've asked in the survey was, not in this way, but are you in favor of gender equality? And again, we asked it to the 4 generations, baby boomers, Gen X, Gen Y, and Gen Z. And I'm asking it again to you. Who do you think is most in favor of gender equality? Would it the baby boomers? That's, yeah, it's 55 plus until 70. Or is it the millennials, 90 to 35-year-olds? Who do you think is most in favor of gender equality? Who says why? Someone said it. Why? Yes? Just checking if you're still awake. Who says baby boomers? I see some no opinions over there. Are you still awake? Are you still awake? You have no opinion? Which one would you choose? Gen Y? It was, to my surprise, baby boomers. And it surprised me. And again, it's a small difference, I must admit. It's statistically significant, but you see, luckily, most people across the world says say men and women are equal. It's the same for Gen Y and baby boomers here, but when you say it's in the nature of women to stay at home and raise a family, to my surprise, as many millennials and Gen Xers agreed with this statement. Whereas baby boomers didn't agree with the statement or agreed to a lesser extent, and again, this is the minority, luckily, and Gen Z didn't agree. There is a difference between the youngest and millennials, and there's a tendency in society that you can call the blurring of genders. Who knows this girl? What's her name? Shiloh. She's the daughter of Brad Pitt and Angelina. Let's call them Brangelina. What happened to Shiloh last year? Started to wear men's clothes, yes. And what else? Sorry? A boy name, exactly. So Brett and Angelina, decided to call her John because Shiloh feels more like a boy since she was only 3 years old. And she can dress like a boy, and they call him John today. Now, she's not the exception. My other friend, Miley rejects the binary definitions of genders. She says, I feel fluid. 1 week, I'm feeling heterosexual. Next week, I'm a lesbian. And what's wrong with that, right? Now, these are the celebrities, Brangelina, Miley, that are connecting with the youngest generation. And society is evolving, is changing in that way. Who knows this guy? Jaden Smith, son of Will Smith. Jaden Smith is the face of the Louis Vuitton women's wear. The women collection of Louis Vuitton is supported by Jaden Smith, right? And that's fashion, of course. We all know these jeans. How do you call these jeans? The boyfriend jeans. Jeans that girls are wearing like their boyfriends are wearing jeans. And you have T-shirts also, etc., etc. When you go to hipster areas, you will see the hipster boys wearing their jeans like the girls are wearing the boyfriend jeans. So hipster boys are wearing jeans like girls are imitating boys. If you're still following me, it's very confusing. But to me, it's a proof that there is a blurred gender. If we all start to imitate the other gender, it actually means it doesn't make sense to have a difference between genders, right? And so many fashion brands have gender-neutral collections today. All luxury brands have gender-neutral collections. And you will find Selfridges department store that has a pop-up store selling all clothes together, not a separate store for boys, separate store, separate floor for boys, separate floor for girls. All together, pick what you like. Doesn't matter. And also they have skipped, like in the London Fashion Week, Milan Fashion Week, they used to have different runways, boys collection, men collection, women collection. Today they're mixing it because it doesn't make sense to not do that. Now that's fashion, it's celebrities. You could still say that's a specific niche market. But if you look at traditional brands like Disney, until 2009, the classical storyline in Disney would be a beautiful girl cleaning the house or preparing some meals for, I should say, little people, midgets, actually, until a beautiful guy comes along with an expensive car, chariot, and in those days. They fall in love, and she gets invited to the castle to prepare meals again for the midgets, so the children they made together. It's a bit black and white, but that's storyline of Disney until 2009. Until in 2009, that movie was, yes, no, that's Frozen, that one. Princess and the Frog with Tiana, first time that there's a really elite female character. 2010, Entangled, with Rapunzel, again, female lead character, and then Frozen 2013, biggest success of Disney ever. They sold for more than $2 billion in merchandising, just in clothes of Frozen, right? And that's the reason why there's a Frozen 2 coming out. Now, Mattel, at a certain time, thought, okay, we have to change something, so they launched the Barbie Entrepreneur. The Barbie Entrepreneur still looks like this. She has a pink dress, jewels, high heels, but she's an entrepreneur. Now, the target group of Mattel, Barbie, is actually 5 to 7-year-old girls. So how do you explain to your 5-year-old girl what an entrepreneur is? So they created a flow chart where they explained, do you love cooking? Yes, no. Do you love crafts? Yes, no. Do you love animals? Yes, no. So in the universe of Mattel, female entrepreneurship was related to animals, crafts, and cooking. That's not the way to do it. I mean, today, if we're thinking about female entrepreneurship, it's different. And so the result of this is that the Barbie doll had 4 years in a row negative figures, red figures in the sales. And that's why they decided to change their strategy this year. They actually, for the first time in history, created Barbie dolls with different sizes. You have a tall one, a petite one, and a curvy one. And then the normal average Barbie that we all know is not really an average female figure. But they changed their dolls. And they're also working together with DC Comics and Warner Brothers to create a new type of content and dolls called the DC Superhero Girls. It's aired on the comic channel. And they're also selling this type of toys. So more strong, female, empowered dolls. And if you look at adult content, not adult in the sense of XXX rated, but adult content in the sense of this type of TV shows, I'm not sure in which season you are, so I won't spoil it, but whenever you look at Game of Thrones, House of Cards, the further you go in the seasons, which means the further you go in the past years, you will see all the tough guys dying, killed, and the girls will still survive. And the girls are taking over power, right? It's the girls in the end that are actually dominating the world. Why are these series like that? Because it's something that's evolving in society. We have more powerful, empowered females. Divergent, Hunger Games, they all have strong females in the lead character roles. Again, to translate it to branding, Procter & Gamble, after seeing Unilever, the main competitor, having a successful strategy with the campaign for Real Beauty for 13 years by now, 13 years, Procter as a competitor said, first $5 billion brand of our competitor, Dove. Perhaps we should do something like that. And so actually Procter & Gamble said, with Always, we will do exactly like Unilever did with the campaign for Real Beauty. And it works again. Like a girl campaign, it works. It's the same strategy as Unilever did with the campaign for Real Beauty. And they're doing it with a different brand, not just with Always, also with Pantene and other brands. And one example is an app that they've launched, and they launched it first in Israel.
The thing is that you're not prepared. Never.
On est terrifié, paralysé. Quando succede non riesci neanche a pensare.
When someone attacks you, you don't know how to react.
Every night, 3 billion of women come back home alone, most likely afraid. Who said this has to be the way? We decided to rewrite the rules, launching Back Me App, the new app that connects you with a friend afar to protect you on your way home. Track your route, send it to a friend, and go. If something weird happens, a sudden change in the itinerary, a stop longer than 2 minutes, your friend will be ready to act. No need to scream or even think. Once you have reached your destination, your friend will know it by receiving a message. Now you can say goodnight to each other. We launched Back Me App first in Israel, and more countries are coming soon.
אפליקציה חדשה, Back Me Up, זאת הבעיה אגב בלהגיע לפה בבוקר. 5 בבוקר, ממי אני מתקשר?
15 minutes, I'm sorry, I have 1 hour.
Here are the results in just 3 months. Rewrite the rules, always.
Yeah, and it's once you find a new positioning, and this one is all about female empowerment, female protection. And protection, of course, why is this a good idea? Because, of course, always is about, if you would summarize always, me as a man, in one word, it's about protection. So if you can find other ways to translate protection, I think it's a clever way to do that as a brand. Now, dreaming of a better world is not just about gender equality, about female empowerment. It also has to do with other issues. So one of the questions we've asked in our survey, again, across the world, was, suppose you were the new world leader tomorrow. Let's say Donald Trump, for instance. What kind of issues would you tackle first? So we had a list of 35 world issues, and one of them was health problems and virus outbreaks. To who do you think this was the most important one? To the baby boomers, 55 plus, or to Gen Z, 4 to 18-year-olds? Gen Z? Who says Gen Z? Okay, who says baby boomers? It's about 50-50. Again, to my surprise, it was Gen Z. Because I thought the older you get, the more you're concerned about health. But of course, baby boomers are the most healthy older generation ever. And virus problems, health problems, whether it's the Ebola virus last year, Zika virus this year, are mediatized. So young kids are actually confronted with mediatized problems. And you see, orange bar again, virus outbreaks, more important to the youngest. Number 1, by the way, terrorism. And this study was done last year in April. So it's before a number of things that have happened, unfortunately, in the past months. The economic crisis, number 2 for all generations. But you can see health problems, more important for the youngest. Global warming, the climate, more important to the youngest. It's a bit a life stage example as well. And underdevelopment in third world countries, also more important for the youngest people. Who knows this boy? No one? If you look at this, does it ring a bell? No? It's a Dutch guy, 17-year-old boy on slut, and he came up with an idea to clean the oceans. Have you heard about the ocean cleanup? The ocean cleanup is based on the idea of a 17-year-old Gen Zer who, during a holiday, thought about his idea, what if we would create 2 giant arms and use the ocean tides to collect the trash in the ocean and then just remove it from the ocean? 17-year-old guy. No engineer, baby boomer, Gen Xer, ever came up with that idea to clean the ocean until a 17-year-old guy came up with the idea, got an interview with John Kerry, and he's getting the funds to actually clean the oceans. By 2020, 40% of the oceans will be cleaned thanks to the idea of a 17-year-old guy. That's amazing. And it's a good example of how young people are more involved with society, with ecology, with the environment. I mean, if you look at the Brexit and the result of the Brexit poll, the youngest didn't want the Brexit. It was only the older ones that said, well, we don't need Europe and all the refugees. But the youngest, they were against the Brexit because they still have to live for decades on the planet, right? They're more involved with the planet and what's happening. And some brands like G-Store Raw, and they used Pharrell, who is also involved with cleaning the oceans, already are creating recycled jeans made from ocean plastics. This business model, you know the business model? Someone said 1 for 1. Do you know a brand that's using 1 for 1? A shoe brand? Tom's, exactly, Tom's. I saw it yesterday evening when we went to Story. A nice concept store here in Tel Aviv. They're selling Tom's shoes. The idea is if you buy a pair of Tom's shoes, you're donating a pair of shoes to people who cannot afford it, to children actually who cannot afford shoes. So there's a social goal. And Tom's has donated 50 million pairs of shoes based on the shoes that they're actually selling. It's called guilt-free consumption. We want to buy a brand as young people, but not feeling guilty about it, but doing something back for society, so a social goal. And the trend related to that is enoughism. We see more and more breakfast raves and lunch raves in the US and across the world, where people are having a healthy breakfast. This is the US definition of a healthy breakfast. While not using drugs, not drinking alcohol, just drinking smoothies and having fun on a party in the morning or during a lunch break before going back to work. So this is an example of a lunch rave, actually. We see challenges on Facebook like 50 days without using shampoo because it's better for your hair. And so it's a challenge. We see the meat-free Mondays, for instance, or people not drinking alcohol for a number of weeks or a month. And it's a challenge. I want to show that I'm able to do without alcohol for one entire month, or without shampoo, or without meat. It's a challenge that young people are doing also because they are dreaming of a better world. So dreaming of a better world, blurred gender, one for one as a business model, enoughism, also as an example. And I come to the last DNA aspect, and it's related to this question. We've asked 4 generations, what do you do while you're watching TV content? And I'm not saying while you're watching TV, because we already know that young people are watching it on YouTube, but often they're still watching TV programs on YouTube as well. But what are they doing while they're watching it? One of the options was, I'm messaging with my friends. And who is messaging the most, do you think, during watching TV shows? Is that Gen Z, 4 to 18-year-olds, or millennials, 19 to 35-year-olds? Z? Who says Z? Who says Y? Majority says Y. It's Z. Here are the charts. Again, millennials are also multi-screening, so the usage of social media while watching TV programs, this is Gen Z, this is millennials, they both do it. Emails during watching TV programs, millennials. Why? Because they're professionally active. So while watching TV content, they're still mailing to their boss to show that they're still working as well. This is something millennials do. Gen Z is not professionally active. Surfing the internet, again, millennials do it even more than Gen Z. Playing games, both do it. But when it comes to chatting, whoops, Gen Z. Really being in touch and chatting with my friends on the same time is typically something Gen Z. So the last DNA aspect, DNA characteristic is being snappy. What is the most used word in texting, do you think? LOL. LOL in 2014. What was LOL in 2015? The same thing as LOL. Yes. First we had, from LOL we went to haha. Haha is actually, LOL was an acronym, haha is a sound, and then we went to this one. This is 3 times the same, right? This year, last year, the year before. So less and less text, sound, visual. So it's a snappy generation. That's why Facebook today, you don't only like stuff, you can also have other emojis. So it's an emotional generation. And when I receive messages from my 2 kids, 9 and 12-year-olds, if they send me a message, it looks like this. To them, it's very snappy. It's very direct and efficient. And a picture says more than 1,000 words. To me, as a poor Gen X dad, I'm trying to figure out what does the panda exactly mean in this message. So to me, it's not so easy. How many of you are using emojis like this in your communication? Almost everyone. It's good news, very good news actually, because a study that not our company Insights did, but Match.com, one of the largest online dating sites, did was if you do use emojis, you have a more active life, let's call it like that. You have a more active life if you use more emojis. In research, we call it a correlation, right? More extrovert people have a more active life, and more extrovert people use more emojis. So if you're not using emojis today, I can recommend it. But brands are also using this. This is PepsiCo this summer. PepsiCo this summer, inspired by Coke. Coke changed the brand names with first names of people and localized it. PepsiCo dropped the brand name and changed it with emojis. They created more than 70 different emojis, and they localized the emojis. So in Thailand, for instance, there was a Thai emoji on the can, and they localized it. But they dropped the brand image. Again, the brand is not the hero, the user is the hero today. So one trend related to that is the usage of ephemeral media. Chelio already talked about Snapchat and the change that Snapchat has brought, and brands are using it. Sprite, for instance, in Brazil, is printing this snap code on the cans. If you scan it, you know it works like a QR code, you're automatically connected with the Sprite account. And from that moment on, Sprite has a direct channel, direct media channel with their consumers on pack. So you can start communicating in a one-on-one relationship. Microsoft last year did a study, and they said the attention span of young people dropped from 12 seconds 5 years ago to only 8 seconds. And the goldfish is there because Microsoft also said the attention span of a goldfish is 9 seconds. So it's below the attention span of a goldfish. When you look at some social media, you know Vine? How long is a Vine video? 7 seconds. Now it's a minute. Yeah? 7 seconds is below the 8 seconds. I'm worried about the 1 minute videos. Snapchat, it's only 10 seconds. They ask your attention for 10 seconds. And in the beginning, you had to press your finger on the screen, otherwise it stopped. So when you do this and you know you have only 10 seconds, then you watch the screen. It's a way to catch your attention, actually.
I will always want you. I came in like a rainbow.
This is my favorite Vine video. It never gets boring, especially if Miley Cyrus has to do something with it. So one of the things to connect with young people, if you know they have a short attention span, is actually to kill boring. I'm sorry about the blood. To skip everything that's boring inside your strategy. And this is an old commercial of 2013, and it's a Belgian way of doing viral marketing, but I still like it.
Départ. J'entends personne. Je te demandais de me suivre.
Je m'appelle Caroline.
Enchantée. Je suis pas tellement vitesse.
C'est vrai.
Ça déménage bien, ça.
Le speed dating autour d'une table, ça me gonfle un peu.
Mais là, c'est un peu trop speed.
T'es mieux avec ou sans lunettes, toi?
Eh oh, attends. Oh, elle va bien, l'aventure. Presque aussi agréable que toi.
Merci.
C'est quand même mollo, hein.
J'adore les sensations fortes, c'est vraiment...
Mais moi pas.
Oh, t'as vu une biche? Tu crois dans la vie, toi, après la mort?
Va bref, vite. Le virage, ça tourne, ça tourne, ça tourne. Elle a craqué, la fille, là, hein. En théorie, on se revoit ce soir, donc...
Fantastic idea, how to make a test drive less boring by using also female empowerment at the same time. So the last trend I want to talk about has to do with the age of impatience. We are all becoming more and more impatient. Not just Gen Z, but everyone is becoming more impatient. And who knows Reddit, the online bulletin board? What's been? Yeah. Do you know what this means? Too long didn't read. Too long didn't read. People responded on Reddit when they don't want to read the previous reply because it's too long. But they have their own opinion, so here's my opinion, but I don't want to read yours, right? That's the age of impatience. Very useful in email communications with your colleagues, but not to your boss, of course. Too long didn't read. Today in Chinese cities, you will find like pathways for people looking at their mobiles, and they walk like this, of course, and people that really want to go somewhere. In shopping malls in the US, you will find slow lanes and fast lanes. On the highway from Tel Aviv airport to here, you have fast lane as well. People don't want to wait for people that are slower. We are becoming more and more impatient. And coming back to business, it means we have to find fast ways. This is an example of KLM, the Dutch airline. Instead of doing M-commerce and T-commerce and e-commerce, they have C-commerce today. C-commerce is conversational commerce. So within WhatsApp or Facebook Messenger, you can buy your tickets online. You don't have to go to the website of KLM, just use your WhatsApp or your Facebook Messenger to buy tickets, and you get your code on it that you can scan, go to the fast lane, etc. Now coming back to marketing, if you're still creating 20-second commercials, 30-second commercials, perhaps that's too long.
Don't thank me, thank the savings.
You can't skip this Geico ad because it's already over. Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
Geico is an insurance company, and they created a movie that lasts for 1 minute and 2 seconds. They had 7.4 million views in 1 week on YouTube. Because it's an amazing execution. So I don't believe that you have to use shorter formats. I think if the content is compelling, if it's interesting, if it's relevant, you will still watch it. You still need creativity actually to get the attention of people. Geico, by the way, is in the top 20 brands in the US that young people remember, and it's an insurance brand. So it's all about creating creative ideas. Now, related to this short attention span and getting more impatient is, of course, digital tools. This order and pay tool that Starbucks has released, there are 5.8 million active users that are continuously using an app that allows them to save 4 minutes of waiting time in a Starbucks. 4 minutes. By ordering their coffee while they're on the metro or tube before they enter the Starbucks. And they have a separate queue, so it only takes 30 seconds instead of 4 minutes. It's grown with 32% in the past year, the number of people that is using this. And I will skip this example as well. It's a Coke example from Israel. But digital is never the thing. We are talking about phygital today. It's a combination of using digital tools to enhance the physical experience, like the Starbucks example. And it means that even if you're into e-commerce, the physical aspect is still important. Amazon in Japan, for instance, has an Amazon sommelier. So if you want to buy wine online with Amazon, and you're doubting, okay, I'm making a dish with lamb this evening, what wine should I buy? You can ask online, call me at that time when it's okay for me, and the sommelier will give you advice which wine you should buy online on Amazon. So that's the new role of the physical place. Another role is what we call third places. You know, first place, home, second place, work. Third place is a place that feels like home where I can work. And WeWork is a good local example of a third place. It feels like a living room, like I'm at home. I can work there, I can meet people, or just be alone together with all other people who are alone. And so retail stores are using this idea. And Nike, for instance, is a good example. When people are buying stuff online, like for Nike, what should we do with the store? The new role of the stores of Nike is actually connect with the local community. So Nike in Brooklyn, in the Flatbush district, has created these community stores where 80% of the staff is actually recruited from within 5 miles of the store. So they're actually giving employment to people that are living in the neighborhood. And also they are organizing after-school activities for kids and teens that are in the schools of the neighborhood. So the Nike store becomes a new community place for employment and for taking care of the kids after school. It's the new role of physical stores in a digital era. So to summarize, because I'm out of time, we've been talking about 4 DNA aspects: making it myself, ready to level up, dreaming of a better world, and being a snappy generation. And some consumer evolutions, trends you could call them, that are related to these 4 DNA aspects. I will make sure that you will get a copy of the slides afterwards. So this is a summary of my presentation, and I hope that it was inspiring to you. Thanks a lot.